On September 28, 2008, at Singapore's Marina Bay Street Circuit, Nelson Piquet Jr. was having a tough second season with Renault. The 23-year-old Brazilian had only 2 points so far and was eager to show he deserved his spot next to Fernando Alonso. On lap 14 of Formula One's first night race, Piquet Jr. came into turn 17 in his yellow Renault. Suddenly, his car swerved left and hit the concrete barrier, bringing out yellow flags and the safety car. The timing worked out well for his teammate, Fernando Alonso, who had started 15th with very little fuel and looked set to finish without points. The safety car grouped the cars together and made leaders Lewis Hamilton and Felipe Massa pit under yellow flags. Because Alonso had already stopped, he stayed out and took the lead when racing restarted on lap 20. He went on to win his first victory in 23 races. Team boss Flavio Briatore and director Pat Simmons celebrated what appeared to be a shrewd strategy. By mid-2009, Renault released Piquet Jr. due to poor results. Feeling betrayed, he said his crash in Singapore was no accident. He told the FIA that Briatore and Simmons had planned it in pre-race meetings, telling him to crash at the right time to help Alonso's strategy. The FIA investigation confirmed Piquet Jr.'s explosive claims. Briatore received a lifetime ban, which was later reduced to a 5-year prison sentence. Simmons also received a 5-year suspension. Renault faced a suspended disqualification from Formula One. The biggest loser in all of this was Felipe Massa. He was leading the race when Piquet Jr. crashed, lost crucial points, and ultimately missed out on the 2008 title to Hamilton by just 7 points. Without crashgate, Massa likely would have won both the race and the championship. It was a tough break. Spygate. Mike Coughlin worked as McLaren's chief designer, while Nigel Stepney held a senior technical position at Ferrari. Throughout 2007, McLaren struggled to match Ferrari's pace, watching their rivals dominate races with superior car performance, and wondering how they achieved such consistent speed advantages. Stepney felt ignored at Ferrari and was frustrated by the team's internal politics. He decided to copy the entire 780-page technical manual, which included details on suspension, aerodynamics, fuel, and strategy. Through secret meetings and encrypted messages, the document made its way to Coughlin at McLaren. The stolen document showed McLaren exactly how Ferrari stayed ahead all season. Their engineers finally got the answers they needed, uncovering Ferrari's design secrets. Later, emails revealed that McLaren drivers discussed Ferrari's fuel and tire strategies during races, showing the data was actually used. The scandal came to light when Stepney's wife tried to photocopy the documents at a local copy shop in Farnham. The shop owner noticed the technical content and Ferrari logos, became suspicious, and contacted Ferrari. Their investigation soon pointed to Stepney, and phone records showed he had been in touch with Coughlin at McLaren. The FIA initially cleared McLaren of any wrongdoing after their first investigation, but new evidence emerged, showing the stolen information had been actively used throughout the season to gain competitive advantages. McLaren faced the ultimate penalty: complete exclusion from the 2007 Constructors' Championship and a record-breaking $100 million fine, the largest financial penalty in sporting history. The scandal ended several careers in Formula One. Stepney faced criminal charges in Italy for industrial espionage, and Coughlin was suspended from McLaren. Stepney died in a railway crossing accident in 2014, adding another sad chapter to the story. McLaren lost money, points, and much of their reputation as a respected team. Hidden software. Michael Schumacher dominated Formula One in 1994, but his Benetton team's success came under intense scrutiny when competitors noticed something unusual about their car's performance. Schumacher's start looked impossibly perfect, with traction that seemed to defy the laws of physics, while other drivers struggled with wheel spin. Launch control and traction control systems were banned in 1994, designed to make racing more dependent on driver skill rather than computer assistance. The new regulations aimed to create more exciting racing and level the playing field between teams. Yet Schumacher's Benetton B194 launched from the grid with mechanical precision that made rival teams suspicious about hidden electronic aids. The FIA launched a detailed technical investigation after multiple complaints from competing teams and discovered illegal software hidden deep within Benetton's computer systems. The code for both launch control and traction control existed in their car's electronics, though team principal Flavio Briatore and technical director Ross Braun claimed the software was never activated during races. They insisted the code was left over from previous seasons when such systems were legal. At the German Grand Prix, Benetton made another risky change by removing a required fuel flow filter to speed up its pit stops. During Jos Verstappen's pit stop, his car caught fire, engulfing several crew members and creating one of the most dangerous moments in Formula One history. Several team members needed emergency medical care. The FIA found Benetton guilty of multiple technical infractions throughout the season, including the use of illegal software and dangerous fuel system modifications. The team faced substantial fines and race suspensions, while serious questions arose about whether their illegal systems had directly contributed to Schumacher's dominant performance and first world championship. Schumacher won the 1994 title in a controversial way, securing it after a collision with Damon Hill in the final race in Australia. Many thought the crash was intentional. The mix of illegal software, risky modifications, and questionable tactics left doubts about Benetton's success and cast a shadow over Schumacher's first championship. Photography project. Mercedes dominated the 2019 Formula One season with their W10 chassis, winning 15 out of 21 races and both world championships with Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas. Racing Point engineers studied this success with unusual interest, systematically photographing every detail of the Mercedes car from every possible angle at each race weekend throughout the season. Racing Point's team took thousands of detailed photos of Mercedes car parts during practice, qualifying, and races. Over the winter break, they carefully studied these images and used computer modeling to figure out Mercedes' design approach and copy their aerodynamic ideas, all without using any confidential information. When Racing Point revealed their 2020 car, the RP20 looked almost identical to Mercedes' championship-winning car from the year before. The similarities were so clear that other teams quickly called it the Pink Mercedes because of Racing Point's pink paint scheme. Renault formally protested the RP20's legality before the season began, claiming Racing Point had essentially purchased a championship-level car design through sophisticated reverse engineering. The FIA investigation focused on whether Racing Point had received direct technical assistance from Mercedes beyond what the regulations permitted, as the team shared the same engineer-supplier relationship. The FIA's investigation found that Racing Point copied Mercedes' design using only photos and public information from TV and trackside views. This was technically allowed by the rules, but it went against the idea of teams developing their own cars independently. Racing Point was fined €400,000 and lost 15 championship points for using copied brake duct designs. However, they kept their Mercedes-style car and used it for the rest of the season. Many thought the penalty was too small since they got a fast car just by using photos and analysis, proving that modern racing espionage doesn't always need stolen documents. Fuel flow. Throughout the 2019 Formula One season, Ferrari's cars displayed straight-line speed that seemed to defy technical regulations. Their engines produced power levels rival teams couldn't match. Even though all teams used similar fuel specifications and had the same 100 kg/h fuel flow limit, Red Bull and Mercedes engineers calculated that Ferrari's performance required more fuel than regulations allowed. The Italian team's cars consistently out-accelerated everyone on straights, gaining significant lap time in power-sensitive circuits like Monza, Spa, and Baku. Sebastian Vettel and Charles Leclerc posted sector times that seemed impossible given the fuel flow limits. Suspicious competitors demanded technical clarifications from the FIA throughout the season. Red Bull submitted multiple queries about fuel flow monitoring systems, while Mercedes questioned whether Ferrari had found ways to circumvent the sensors that monitored consumption rates. The governing body received detailed technical complaints alleging that Ferrari was exceeding fuel flow limits without detection. The FIA launched a thorough investigation into Ferrari's power unit systems in late 2019. Looking closely at fuel flow sensors, injection systems, and engine management software. They found that Ferrari had devised clever methods to manipulate fuel flow readings, allowing them to exceed the allowed limits at critical times, such as qualifying and race starts, all without triggering the monitoring systems. To avoid public penalties and possible exclusion, Ferrari decided to work closely with the FIA during the investigation. They made a private settlement with the governing body in early 2020. The details were never shared, even though other teams wanted to know exactly what Ferrari had done. By 2020, it was obvious that Ferrari no longer had their unfair advantage. Their engines, which were once the fastest, had become the slowest on the grid. Ferrari went from fighting for wins to struggling to earn points, and their customer teams, Alfa Romeo and Haas, also experienced a decline in performance. Budget breach. Formula One introduced a $145 million budget cap in 2021, designed to level the competitive playing field between wealthy manufacturers like Mercedes and Ferrari and smaller independent teams. Every team had to account for all development spending, from expensive carbon fiber components to employee salaries and facility costs. Red Bull exceeded this limit by $1.6 million during their championship-winning 2021 season when Max Verstappen claimed his first world title. The team initially disputed the FIA's calculations, claiming confusion over which expenses counted toward the budget cap and which teams were exempt under the complex new regulations. Team principal Christian Horner said Red Bull's breach was about procedures, not performance. He explained that the overspend came from disagreements over things like catering, sick leave, and employee benefits during the COVID-19 pandemic, not from spending on car upgrades or aerodynamic development. Rival teams disagreed strongly with Red Bull's characterization of a minor breach. Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff and Ferrari's Mattia Binotto pointed out that $1.6 million could fund significant aerodynamic development, manufacture new components, or provide additional wind tunnel testing that would deliver measurable performance improvements throughout the season. The FIA accepted Red Bull's explanation and classified the breach as minor since it was less than 5% of the total budget cap. The governing body imposed a $7 million fine and reduced Red Bull's aerodynamic development time by 10% over the following 12 months, limiting their use of the wind tunnel and computational fluid dynamics testing. McLaren, Mercedes, and Ferrari argued that the penalty was too light to prevent future budget cap breaches. They said Red Bull gained an advantage by overspending in a championship season and should have faced harsher consequences, such as losing points. The case showed how hard it is to enforce budget rules in Formula One, where teams have complicated finances and big staffs. The starting light hack. Race starts in 1999 became predictably perfect for certain drivers. Michael Schumacher, Mika Hakkinen, and other top competitors consistently achieved reaction times that seemed to defy human limitations, launching from the starting grid with mechanical precision while other drivers struggled with wheel spin and poor starts. The FIA saw some worrying trends in the data. Certain drivers kept getting reaction times under 0.2 seconds, which is faster than normal human reflexes. These perfect starts happen too often to be just skill or luck, making officials suspect that technology was helping at the start of races. Intelligent sources within the paddock suggested that teams had developed sophisticated radio equipment capable of intercepting electronic signals from the starting light system. Teams allegedly used this intercepted technology to anticipate when the starting lights would change, giving their drivers crucial milliseconds of advantage over competitors who relied purely on visual recommendations and human reflexes. The governing body decided to test their suspicions at the European Grand Prix. Without warning any teams beforehand, the FIA altered the starting light sequence timing and electronic protocols just moments before the race began, creating potential chaos for drivers who had grown accustomed to predictable patterns and electronic assistance. Multiple drivers jumped the start, including several who had previously shown impossibly perfect reaction times throughout the season. The sudden timing change proved conclusively that drivers had been anticipating the normal light sequence rather than reacting to visual cues, exposing the sophisticated electronic assistance systems that teams had been using. Post-race investigations revealed extensive electronic surveillance operations throughout the Formula One paddock. Teams had been intercepting each other's encrypted radio communications for years, gaining strategic insights into fuel loads, tire strategies, and race tactics during actual competitions, turning Formula One into a form of electronic warfare. The FIA responded by adding new security steps, such as encrypting radio signals, changing starting procedures, and using equipment to spot signal interference during race weekends. The scandal showed that Formula One had turned into a high-tech battleground, with teams spending millions on spying as well as racing. BAR's hidden fuel tank. BAR Honda appeared to have solved Formula One's weight management puzzle in 2005. their cars consistently met the minimum weight requirements during post-race inspections, while displaying performance characteristics that suggested they were running significantly underweight throughout actual races, which gave them a mysterious speed advantage over their competitors. Formula One cars must weigh at least 605 kilograms, including the driver, after the race's finish. This regulation prevents teams from gaining performance advantages by building dangerously lightweight cars that could compromise safety or create unfair competitive advantages over rivals who followed the rules properly. The FIA discovered that BAR had installed a secondary fuel tank that automatically filled during post-race procedures. This sophisticated system allowed their car to run underweight throughout races, but appear completely legal when inspected by technical officials after the checkered flag, creating an almost undetectable competitive advantage. BAR's engineering trick was highly advanced and nearly impossible to find during normal checks. The hidden tank was connected to the main fuel system with valves that opened only when the car was stopped for some time. During races, the extra tank stayed empty, making the car lighter and improving acceleration, braking, and cornering. When cars arrived in the technical inspection area after races, the secondary tank would automatically fill with fuel from the main system, bringing the car up to legal weight limits without any manual intervention. This process happened so smoothly that officials never suspected the deception during routine post-race inspections. The discovery came during a detailed technical examination at the San Marino Grand Prix. FIA officials discovered the hidden tank during an unusually thorough inspection and realized that BAR had been running illegal cars in multiple races, passing all standard weight checks with apparent ease. BAR received a 2-race suspension and lost all points from races where they had used the illegal system. Jenson Button was stripped of his third-place finish at the San Marino Grand Prix, costing him valuable championship points and damaging the team's reputation permanently within the Formula One community. The double diffuser loophole. The 2009 Formula One regulations were designed to reduce aerodynamic complexity and create closer racing between cars. The governing body banned most advanced aerodynamic devices, forcing teams to design simpler cars that would theoretically be more evenly matched in performance and create better racing for spectators. Ross Brawn's engineers discovered a critical loophole in these new regulations during the winter break between seasons. The rules banned certain aerodynamic elements but failed to account for double diffuser designs that could generate massive downforce through technically legal configurations that nobody at the FIA had anticipated or considered. Brawn GP worked on this idea in total secrecy during the off-season, building a car that made much more downforce than its rivals but still followed the 2009 rules. The double diffuser was their secret weapon, helping them dominate the new season before other teams realized what was happening. When Brawn unveiled their BGP001 at their first test session, rival teams immediately noticed its unusual rear aerodynamics. The double diffuser created complex airflow patterns that generated downforce levels approaching those achieved by teams with the now banned aerodynamic devices from previous seasons. Toyota and Williams had also discovered the same loophole independently and incorporated double diffusers into their 2009 cars. These three teams gained enormous performance advantages over competitors like Ferrari, McLaren, and Red Bull, which had designed conventional single diffuser systems according to their interpretation of the regulations. Jenson Button won 6 of the first 7 races, building an insurmountable championship lead before other teams could develop their own double diffuser designs and catch up. Brawn GP clinched both the drivers' and constructors' titles despite being formed from Honda's abandoned team just months earlier. Rival teams protested the legality of the double diffuser throughout the season, but the FIA consistently ruled that the design complied with the technical regulations as written. The governing body had written the rules, and Brawn had simply interpreted them more creatively and thoroughly than anyone else had managed. The double diffuser was banned for 2011, proving that in Formula One, the biggest scandals can come from finding loopholes in the rules instead of breaking them. Christian Horner's private messages. Christian Horner built Red Bull into Formula One's most successful team in the 2010s and early 2020s, celebrating multiple championships and establishing himself as one of the sport's most prominent and recognizable figures. Behind the scenes of their racing success, however, serious allegations emerged in early 2024 regarding his personal conduct toward female colleagues. A formal complaint accused Horner of inappropriate and coercive behavior of a sexual nature toward a female colleague within the Red Bull organization. The team immediately launched an internal investigation while the Formula One world watched the scandal unfold during the crucial early races of the 2024 season. The controversy escalated dramatically when WhatsApp messages allegedly showing inappropriate communications leaked to nearly 200 people throughout the Formula One paddock. These messages were distributed anonymously to team principals, journalists, drivers, and other paddock insiders, creating intense media speculation and gossip about their explosive contents and implications. Red Bull conducted 2 separate internal investigations, both of which cleared Horner of any wrongdoing. The team stood firmly by their principal and rejected calls for his resignation from rival teams and media commentators who questioned the investigation's independence and thoroughness, insisting their processes had been proper. The female employee who made the original complaint was initially suspended from her position, pending the outcome of the investigation. She later returned to work within Formula One, though not directly with Red Bull Racing, raising further questions about how the situation had been handled by the organization. Media attention focused intensely on Horner's personal life, including his high-profile marriage to former Spice Girls member Jerry Halliwell. The scandal created significant distractions during Red Bull's pursuit of another championship, with press conferences shifting their focus from racing performance and strategic decisions to personal matters. The affair demonstrated how personal conduct scandals could completely overshadow sporting achievements in modern Formula One's intensely scrutinized environment. Despite Red Bull's continued success on track, questions about leadership and workplace culture created ongoing controversy that extended far beyond racing results and competitive performance.